And that, of course, is just a picture I put into Grok. I say nothing. I don't give it any directions or prompt, and it does that. And my whole intention was to, make something more pertinent to Bitcoin. But I'm like, that's pretty good. This, my face goes into shock, and there's an explosion outside the car that I'm not even in that picture. Not bad. And how long did it take? About 10 seconds. Pretty crazy that can all happen in 10 seconds. Just imagine how it's going to be in 6 months or a year from now. Army Piper, I think I saw you in one of my Ecamm comments. If you haven't watched that second Kager video, please watch it and let's discuss it, because I want someone to poke some holes in it. Please find the error. Please find the error. Now, part of my ongoing strategy as a parent is to leave enough Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs that Duke can figure out what made his dad go crazy. When that time comes, I don't know when it is. When he's older, maybe. Like when he's my age, or maybe when he's 20s or something. But eventually he'll probably wonder, what the hell, why was my dad so weird, right? And one of the things that I do is I buy books that I think are coming to an end, so to speak. I think that they'll get harder to get. And the one thing I do to my signal to buy is when I can't get it on Amazon. Any book that I have to go to some weird site and get because it's, you can't get an audiobook of it and you can't get it on Amazon. I'm like, that's the one I'm going to get. And the one I just got was this one called The History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind. It's a short read, 200 pages or something. I'm halfway through it. But the problem is that when a book is so juicy, like this one, I spend a lot of time on like grokking it. Like I'm an armchair grok fact checker. Like, this can't be true. And I'll go into Grok, and Grok will give me a watered down, historically, blah, blah, not really. It's like Grok will give me a political version of why this might be wrong, but not an actual factual version of it. And so it takes me a long time to read, because I'm always trying to, it's like, that can't be right. Can that be right? Can this be right? Can this little book here be right? I don't know, but it's going to, my first read, I highlight stuff to go back to. And then once I'm done, I think I'll pick some things to talk about. And because they're all fascinating. And you're like, does everything come back to the Rothschilds? You're like, as old school conspiracy theorists, everything, it's always like leads back to the Rothschilds, right? No matter what, you're like, you're off in this weird conspiracy rabbit hole, and then at the end of it, it's funded by the Rothschilds, right? It's like, come on, is everything funded? Is this whole world, is the destruction of humanity funded by the Rothschilds? And if so, isn't it amazing that they're never really foot to the fire? Like, it's almost like everyone that they're funding gets put through the shame cycle and humiliation ritual, but no one ever goes past it and goes, well, who actually funded this? Where's the money? Show me the money. They're never really accountable, even though in this book, History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind by Stephen Mitford Goodson, they're behind everything. Every war, everything. Like, I'm telling you, everything. We'll get into it. I mean, we got the summer bummer to, make content through. If we're going to be sharing this cup of coffee from 8 till 8:30, you should buy it, but you probably won't. So I'll just highlight it, and we'll talk about the weird things that that's gone on in the world. Like I'm talking everything, like everything, every central bank, obviously, every central bank was instituted by the Rothschilds, but it's like it goes into the like how it came about, and the saddest part was that most of these countries that were, taken over by the Rothschilds central banks were flourishing. They were printing their own money at very, very, very low debt. And that was like the heyday of the country. Like dams, bridges, housing, agriculture, everything was flourishing. And then, of course, the central bank comes in from the Rothschilds and the country goes to shit. What book are you holding, Kelly McBride? History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind. It's one of my can't find on Amazon books. Now I got one I did find on Amazon, but this is just like this is my equivalent of the National Enquirer. This is like light reading that's still fascinating. The Rothschilds are in here too. You can't avoid the Rothschilds. This is Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. Laurel Canyon, Covert Ops and the Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream by David McGowan. It's amazing too. It's I don't have the link, Kelly McBride, but I'll find it because it was. If you missed earlier, I said this book you can't get on normal things. You got to kind of go deep into a weird bookstore and take 6 weeks to get there, right? This you can get in 3 days. This is again, it's like now that I'm thinking about it, it's like there's so much Rothschilds in this book too. Because it goes about it talks about how many rock stars in the 60s and 70s were actually like come from CIA families. Everyone knows Jim Morrison's dad was, one of the architects of the Gulf of Tonkin. And if you don't, now you do. But how weird is that, right? And then you think about like what a cultural juggernaut the Doors were, and in this book, it states that Jim Morrison came in fully loaded with the 3 albums of songs and never wrote a song again. This one's called the Kelly History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind. Dun, da, da, da. And this one is Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. A little bit of a light reader. You can get the audiobook too. But I like to, sometimes I'll get the audiobook as a tester. And I'll listen to it for a bit. And then if it's juicy, I'll buy the book. Because I like to take a highlighter to it and check it out. But like the cultural juggernaut of the Doors, how bizarre is it that he came in with all those songs written, and then that was it. Even his girlfriend's linked to all these, like it's almost like is the whole world MK Ultra Manchurian candidates? Like the big one, the big movers in this book is David Crosby and Stephen Still. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and then there's also the Mamas and the Papas. John, what the hell's his name? Can't remember his name anyway. They were the Frank Zappa's dad, CIA, worked, what was it? He had a very influential job. It was like in MK Ultra. Like how weird is that? These cultural pioneers, so to speak, these inventors of like the hippie dream, which was what we were sold was Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco was the flower power thing, but it was all started in Laurel Canyon, and all the deaths and all the suicides and all the incest and everything that's going on now was going on there inside this little hub, that was basically in the valley of this army base that overlooked it. There's secret tunnels linking all these houses. It's weird, right? I mean, if you've never, ever heard about it, it'll blow your mind. Now, most of us, we've kind of heard about it, these things. You know, by now, you can't be this deep into Bitcoin and not know MK Ultra, Manchurian candidates, CIA mind control, central bankers, Rothschilds. It's just part of the glossary, the bibliothèque, if it were, of this type of information. But yeah, all of them. John Cass, Mama Cass, was that what his name? Yeah, like what a you want to talk about degenerate psychopaths, like Mamas and the Papas? It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. It's not really surprising, but it's still crazy. Like, because you think, I've always thought, and this is why it feeds into my seduction buttons, because I watched people in the Canadian music industry get record deals and stuff above my band. And of course, I'm gonna have my own bias, like that. What the hell? But I'm like, what the hell? I would have, like, with this band is so shitty. Like, what the hell? Why did they get this record deal? And then they kind of like have a lollipop bubblegum hit, and then they disappear forever. It's like, who are picking these people? This is so weird. Why would they pick them? And then you go down into the wormhole now, and you're like, by design, we watch Lifetime artists now, like these pop singers, we're almost watching them from a childhood in some Disney thing or in some arm of the MK Ultra program where they cultivate these Manchurian candidates to just be the pop stars. And then the worship of it is also weird. I always thought that Winnipeg had the strangest quality of Winnipeggers was that they didn't, I don't know if it's like this now, but when I was in my 20s, it was the boom of the Canadian film industry, because we gave them a bunch of incentives. Hey, come here, we'll knock 60% off your traveling and tax budget, all these incentives to bring American movie productions here. And it kind of had this boom. But the reason why, I was a bartender at this bar named Bar Italia, and it was the dive bar that celebrities like to go to. And I don't know why. It just had a weird energy to the bar. It still does, but I haven't been there in years. But one day, Billy, who's the singer for Smashing Pumpkins? Billy something? I was going to say Billy Madison. No, Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan was there with some girl I used to know. Yeah, Billy Corgan, E-Money. And he came up, and I was bartending at the time. And he told me point blank, he's like, you know what I love about this city? I'm like, what? Billy Corgan. He's like, no one gives a shit that I play in a band or that I'm me. No one gives a shit. And I really like that about this city. And it was true. Because he spent the night sitting in the corner with this chick, and no one approached him. No one asked for interviews. No one asked for autographs or anything like that. And just to give you another weird story, a couple months ago, we played this judge's Christmas party. And they told us, don't tell anyone about this party because we don't want anyone knowing, because we're all a bunch of criminal judges. And it's a weird reference right there. Judges in criminal courts. Or are they criminal judges? Anyway, when I got there, I thought, these aren't criminal judges. These are magistrates. These are like people that you'd go and fight a parking ticket to, and they'd say no. It's like, well, no, pay it, right? But then it turned out that they were criminal judges, and the lead who hired us, she was like in charge of everything. She was a criminal judge. So like all the heinous crimes these people see, right? It was very weird because they just look like unassuming, normal Walmart Martians. And her former role was what's called Manitoba Film and Sound, which was the organization that implemented the incentives and that had people come to Winnipeg and make their movie productions. So she was in charge of most of these productions, and when, you know, movie stars came here, she was like the liaison. And she said her number one problem with movie stars, the latest was John Hamm, right? Whenever he was here in the past 2 or 3 years, it's almost like a Laurel Canyon, Winnipeg thing here. There's a lot of movies that made, but her biggest problem was stopping them taking the bus. I'm like, what? That's your biggest problem? She's like, yeah, for some reason they feel like they can take the bus, and I think they've talked to people and the rumor's out that you can just come to Winnipeg and take the bus. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this sounds like a made up story. She's like, no. I have their phone numbers and I phoned them. I'm like, John, where are you? He's like, I'm on the 66 Grant. I'm just riding the bus. And she's like, tell me this straight. And because it's dangerous. Winnipeg's a dangerous city. And like, just like any city, the bus gets a little more dangerous. What's his name? Who's that woke libtard now? Sean Penn. Sean Penn, same thing. Days off, riding the bus. But if you think about Sean Penn, he kind of looks like a bum. You know, if he's doesn't brush his hair or anything, he kind of looks like a rubby bum. That's the biggest problem that she had with the celebrities. She had to stop them from riding the bus because they got a kick out of it. I can just ride the bus here. No one does anything. No one says anything to me. I'm like a normal person. How weird is that? I remember I was playing piano at the Hotel Fort Garry once. It was like the first piano bar, the longest piano bar. They got rid of it, of course. And Sean Penn was there with a few people. And he was like right in front of me with his thing. He was drinking and his face did not move a muscle. Like, he had that Sean Penn scowl and he was just kind of staring past me. And I had a link to Sean. Like, had he been interactive, I would have talked to him and said, guess who I am? And at that time, I was my niece's uncle. So my niece auditioned for the movie that he was doing in there. And she was in the running for it. She would have been the lead. And something, you know, he was rooting for her. She had kind of like this. I was like, what? He really likes you, she'd say. She'd say, like, if Sean Penn's really nice, she'd be like, something like, how much does he really like you? Like, you got to be careful of these, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they went with someone else. Long story short. So her life would have just been like in a whole different ball game had that happened. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, enough weird stories about Winnipeg. Weird scenes of Winnipeg, Manitoba. It gets weirder too, actually, because we have the Parliament building. And then you talk about the ley lines of the world. Everything crosses through Winnipeg. So it's like when you think of the orchestration of civilization, you know, why Winnipeg? Why here in the middle of nowhere on a marsh, really? And, you know, then you zoom out and you're like, oh, every ley line in the world crosses Winnipeg. And then we have this Parliament building that was built by this 33-degree Freemason. Like, look it up, Winnipeg Parliament building. I had a buddy who did tours. He was like this. He was the most interesting man I've ever met. His name is Frank Albo, Bitcoiner too. And when I met him, I wasn't a Bitcoiner. But he was into mining. He was so early. I think he lives in Bermuda now. He would give tours every Friday of the ledge. It's called the Legislature building. And he'd go into the basement. And there's gargoyles and demons and everything around this place. It's crazy. That's how, Winnipeg's a bizarre little little place. So yesterday we said we'd probably break out bullish from this descending triangle. Now we are attempting it. Now we have the headwinds of the 50 moving average, the 20 moving average, and the resistance of this descending channel. Now I would like to get to 74.5. I know it seems like a crazy amount of bullishness for the upside, right? Be nothing to go down that much. We do that before 10 a.m. But this is my signal to confirm we are, in essence, going lower. But we all kind of know that, right? We all kind of know that. We all may not want to accept it, but we all kind of know it. And if you're a hardcore Bitcoiner, which most people are, I don't think there's anyone in here that isn't. Once you accept it, things start to get juicy. You start being that black guy behind the tree, right? You're like, oh yeah, let's get some cheaper prices going. Let's bring it on. Bring it on. And so that's what I'm looking for, confirmation of 74.5 rejection to the next leg down, which would probably be, back to candlestick. Like, look at this. Look at this wick here, just sitting here. Dumb and dumbering at the bar. What? Oh, this wick here? Oh, it's nothing. Oh, you want a candlestick it? Ah, sure. Yeah. My wick's ripe for candlesticking. So you can see how we're going back down to that 60K just to candlestick that wick. And then we would test it. We'd probably trip the light fandango on the 60K support and then break it. We got 56K-ish here. And then 50K, which would be my first deployment into the next bull run, right? That's what you got to kind of frame everything now as, what are you doing for the next bull run? And then things, get pretty juicy and exciting. On the daily, we have broken out of this bull flag. Now, does it reject it? Well, there's a tight little range here. We could pump back into it. We're at 74.5 here. Yeah, it would be up at this channel of dissensions support or resistance. Also, exactly the 38.2% fib. Oh yeah, that's why it all makes sense. Now this would be a pretty epic day here if we were to get from here to there, or weekend. That would be a 12% pump. It's doable. This green candle's 12%. We have done it in the past week or two. This is hella more than 12%. What was this candle? Stick to stick, 14%. Yeah. I mean, to the downside, that's easy. It's like going down a roller coaster, right? And the 20 moving average confluence here to give us headwinds, to give us that pushback when we need it most. When we need to break through most, we would get the pushback. Look at this confluence, 38.2% fib, channel of dissensions, resistance, 20 moving average. All these things would be headwinds coming up to this. And of course, on the weekly, where is this from? Oh, this is from our old support. Or it was actually resistance for the longest, for that whole summer bummer. February 24th to November 24th. Now, you want to talk about a summer bummer. Gadzooks, it happened in February. No, this is March. Sorry. Beginning of March. All the way till September. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months of essentially a little bit of downward action. We had some pumps, all got rejected. So now we're basically in the same little rejection zone as we were a year ago, bumping our head on this line, which is a historic line. It also turns out that it's around the 23.6% fib of this epic. Oh, I guess it's not that epic. It's just from our last 98.6. Huh? No big deal. E-Money. Buzz Aldrin did Mason shit on the moon when they landed. In loving Secret Society tangent this morning. Oh, I'm loving the Secret Society tangent this morning. Yeah, well, you have to understand when nothing's happening here, my first instinct is to not do a video. But I find when I start doing that, I start doing it more. And then I find more reasons to not do it, you know, and then like a week like this where no one cares, right? Like at least when the price was dumping last week, you get a little bit of dopamine, you know, people are a little more interested. But when the price comes down here and does nothing all week, you can guarantee next to nobody gives a shit. You can see it in the engagement. Then that voice in my head starts saying, well, nobody really even wants to hear about Bitcoin. Why even do a video, right? And I fight it because it's a battle of attrition in YouTube, just like it is in Bitcoin. You know, as a Bitcoiner, it's a battle of attrition. Who can stay the longest in a constant state of insanity? You or the central banks, right? I would argue they can, because they're intergenerational. So they don't think. They don't think like us. We think one generation at a time. I'm going to do my darndest for my son, right? They think great-grandchildren. Their plans are 100 years out. They plan in fourth turnings, and they have solution to every turning. In fact, they orchestrate all the turnings. Now, see, we're already back to the tangent on the secret societies. But the more you're in Bitcoin, the more you realize that everything is a massive psyop, right? Now, maybe even Bitcoin is a psyop. Only time can tell. That's the beauty of time. Like when I get into these arguments with people at the squash club, I'm like, listen, there's no argument here. You just think this, I think that, and time will tell, right? And I hope I'm wrong. And when I am wrong, I'll actually say, hey, you were right, right? When we all know if and when I'm right, they won't say anything, right? It's not like they're going to say, oh, you were right, right? Because I've seen it already with Bitcoin. When I told people to buy at 15.5, you know, every time it went up, no one said, oh, you know, I should have bought it. You know, they keep their mouth shut because they don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about when they're right. And I hope they're right. I hope I'm wrong. I hope all these books are bullshit. I hope everything's not a psyop, you know? And the longer I stay off of X, which has been the real difference, just like anything, if you take sugar out of your diet, when you put it back in, it's crazy, right? If you stop drinking and you bring booze back in, it's crazy, right? When you take X out of your diet and then you put it back in, it's crazy. Like all you got to do is take like 48 hours off it to realize how insane it is. It's like once I go back in there, because I have the same problem. I have still communications with the inboxes of like Instagram and Twitter. And so I got to run past the wall to get to the inbox, but I'm just a mere mortal, you know? And if I get too close to that thing and I start scrolling, it's amazing how crazy it is, right? And the immediate feeling of doom and gloom that comes into my body, my psyche, my hopes and dreams. It's like, I don't want that. Even if it's true, I don't want that.
Make sure you like and subscribe.